All right, welcome to the show, man. Listen, I was trying to get Drago, your head on Drago. I couldn't do it, so I'm going Daniel Newman style. Black cap, quarter zip. Welcome, my friend.
I'll get you one that says Futurum or Futurum Equities on it so you can properly represent.
I think I asked for one the last time you joined. I'm still waiting, man. And maybe
I have like 30 of them just everywhere around me.
Listen, I think we got to disclaim, like, we're really good friends. We get along on stuff. I don't like hate you disagree on this. I just think we have a difference of opinion. So how do you see
it? It was funny. I actually had like some people that were really nasty and some that started nasty, and I sort of explained my argument a little bit, and like a few of them even ended up being somewhat like of a, because in X everybody's flex on X, right? Like, oh, yeah, I can, yeah. Like, especially people that aren't even real, like they're just avatars. But like when you really start to break this down, it's just very nuanced. And the nuance is important here because, and by the way, I just want to be very clear. One, I'm a tech guy and I have a lot of insight on tech. I'm into this part because I'm all about health, the journey. I'm a lead investor in an actual peptide business that's doing kind of, I call it HIMS for high performance peptides. And we do compounded GLPs. It's a small business, so we're not on anyone's radar yet.
Right.
But it changed my life. Like personalized medicine, functional medicine changed my life in a year, completely changed my wellness.
No, dude, listen, dude, I've seen the before and after pictures. I've seen the transformation in you as a friend. Yeah, I think the key here is the thing that we have a disagreement on is I'm not arguing against personalized medicine. For me, really, the sticking point becomes what's the value of IP protection if it can be somehow circumvented by saying I'm personalizing these, formulations for you. I think there's a lot of gray area there and a lot of leeway for HIMS and hers if they get left, unregulated there.
Well, let's just kind of go back a little bit and what started all this mess, right? Because first of all, my position in HIMS is less than 2% allocation to my portfolio. So while I do defend it, I invested in about $25, wrote it up to 70, took it all the way back down here to 16 or whatever it is. And I've gotten a little bit longer here. I'm not going all in by any means.
All right. So it's the worst performing stock in the year and you're adding to it. But I think you're a savvy investor though. You told me the other day you're adding to it by selling puts, right?
Yeah, I'm doing spreads well below even this price and I'm collecting premiums. And if it comes to me, because like, I believe they have another business, but let me be clear. Like, I think the CEOs made some really boneheaded moves. I think publicly saying that it was the same ingredient instead of just focusing on it being semaglutide versus the active ingredient of a branded GLP was a big mistake. I think also that the idea that it was selling that product in one formulation to the mass market, that was a mistake. So I'm not saying that these companies made they've made some very boneheaded decisions over time. And so I have to call that out. And by the way, I'm also a big believer when IP is great. I absolutely want to see it defended. I'm a big Viking Therapeutics. They have the best molecule for a pill form GLP. And I believe that will be one of the best investments I've ever made. I've been buying it all the way down on the various dips. They just got phase 3. And by the way, my allocation there is 10 times bigger than my allocation to HIMS. So
that's important because I want to talk about that later on. But we got Viking Therapeutics, right? I mean, you see that big sell off there. Funniest inside story here. Daniel got me into Viking, but I know the science. I love terzepeptide, semaglutide, right about at the top, and then it tanked.
Well, it's like in the 40 range, right? I mean, this thing had actually hit 90s. So I've averaged it down, but you've got to look at the science here. This one's good. The average analyst price on this thing's over $100. So this is one that it's shorts are in control, but the actual data says that this is one they're just wanting to scare you out. And then, right when you least expect it, there's going to be a buyout or there's going to be a deal. The last earnings call in the phase 3 news was great, but let's go back to talking about what we really want to debate. What I really want to debate is the idea of a company that's a platform company delivering personalized medicine at scale versus Pharma Brigade, which basically is in the business of delivering us medications that basically force us into taking more medications to keep us sick. Yeah. And so on the IP front, there is the big delta between what is compounding allowed to be. Compounding is when an individual doctor makes an individual decision about a patient to offer a medication that isn't available directly in that certain formulation in order to get a certain outcome.
Correct. Okay, but in this setting, right, if I pull up, the most recent deck from HIMS and hers, which weirdly is like August of 2025, the far right column, they show that they want to get into personalized medicine, personalized care for semaglutide. But how do you personalize semaglutide if it's just a changing dose, right? Like,
It's dosage titration, and oftentimes it's formulaically mixed with something like carnitine. They've actually done it where they actually add different ingredients to it. But the big problem with pharma is dosage. This is where I'm very conflicted. And this is, by the way, you read these studies about these different pills and different shots and how some of them have really done bad. Tolerance has been really bad. And by the way, when Huberman's talking about the new retatrutide look or retatrutide look, what he's talking about, by the way, is when you get dosage right, and that nobody's on retatrutide right now from Lilly. They're on compounded, and they're getting it through, gray market peptide companies. But when you look at the difference in success, when you can actually maintain muscle mass and you can lose weight at a slower pace while titrating the medication up slowly to be able to deal with the tolerance that the individuals have, it's a totally different experience, Lou. So the problem is right now what people get with Ozempic, which is a diabetes drug, or Wegovy, which was the one that was approved for weight loss, is they tend to be the dosage is very high. So people lose weight rapidly, which has been seen as a cheerlead thing. Like, oh my God, look how fast you lost weight. Yeah. They're not losing the right weight. They're losing muscle. They're getting
well, and here we have it here. I mean, we're talking about the different ones. So to be clear, HIMS is getting in trouble for offering the compounded version of semaglutide, which is the Ozempic Wegovy. That's that orange line. We get into the tirzepatide, which is Eli Lilly. Full disclaimer, I've been a long-term shareholder here. I think it is the superior product and company. But then you're talking about retatrutide or retrutide, however you want to call it, is that black line.
Retatrutide, I've heard from one of the people that helped develop it, but I always call it Reta.
Yeah, so let's call it Reta. And then Viking is the red one. So the key here is like a Kaplan-Meier curve, right? Like the bigger separation you see, the more effective it looks like it's being. And like you see here with Viking's drug, it's looking like it's going to have superior performance if this trend continues. I think this is what's most amazing is that even if Novo Nordisk and HIMS settle this dispute and HIMS is allowed to keep marketing or whatever way it goes, I think it's inferior unless HIMS can get into the tirzepatide and Reta game or Viking Therapeutics. It doesn't matter because
they're going to get into compounding them depending on the legality. And now the Supreme Court has supported the right to compound medicine for personalized use, and that's come out. And actually, you've seen there's been cases thrown out as Novo, Lilly, and others have tried to go after the Strive, the compounding pharmacy. Yeah. They've tried to go out, and they have not won yet. So while everybody has been so adamant that this is an IP thing, compounding is all about personalized. So I think HIMS can win if HIMS gets back to what its platform is supposed to be designed to do. And the platform is supposed to be designed one patient, one doctor, one particular medication for one individual need. And when they do it that way, I think most of the legal, most of the legal findings have been in the favor of compounding. And that's what I'm saying they got wrong is when HIMS decides to want to mass market and use someone else's brand and say, we're going to generically sell one pill in one formulation that is someone else's thing, they've absolutely gone off the deep end and they've put themselves in a position to be sued into the abyss. Yeah, but if they can say every patient on our platform can get access with very little delay to a human doctor that's looking at their particular file, their needs, that is then offering a dosage which will almost always be much lower than what you would get if you got the injectors through Novo or through Lilly, that you can then be on a personalized medical journey, then most of the law so far has protected that right. And most of the outcomes that I've seen, if you want to maintain muscle mass, not get in a perpetual cycle of needing medications to lose weight or be able to go to a lower dosage over time without immediately gaining the weight back, the personalized path is better. Now, again.
Yeah, but here's what I got to tell, though. I'm in agreement with you that they shouldn't be able to just mass market. But here's what I'm telling you. If this goes to court, they're going to be in big trouble. From my own experience, 3 months ago, I just said, man, I saw so many people talking about the ease of using the platform. I actually logged on to HIMS, downloaded the app, and was like, let's see if I can get myself some semaglutide. How long is this going to take, right? What verification are they going to go through? I'm telling you, man, in under 5 minutes, I was approved, right?
Yeah.
I fabricated everything, right? I mean, yes, I'm 20 pounds lighter than I was, but I needed to, I still wasn't way enough on the scale on the BMI and overweight enough where it was like a slam dunk. They didn't ask for any personalization. They just personalized the dosage. If I'm that, maybe I'm the anomaly, the outlier, but my guess is there's probably tens of thousands of other HIMS customers and clients that had the same thing, that if that's exposed in a court of law, they're not operating under the legal protections of compounding.
The real question is, what was the dosage versus, say, what's commercially available?
Yeah, so you're right. They gave it to me in vials, but they started at it's like a micro dose, right? So if I compared the actual dosing regimen that they prescribed versus what you'd get from Novo Nordisk, wildly different to your point. So yes, that falls under the personalization, but is that just arguing semantics, right? Like, hey, here's the active ingredient. We're going to mix a little bit of water and blue food coloring, and now it's personalized. Or L-carnitine, and you want some vitamin C. Now we got it all together.
Well, that's, so far the Supreme Court has supported that particular pathway. Yeah. And so my point is that it really is not a debate about IP. In the end, I do believe there should be some right to IP, a lot of right to IP. I feel the same way in technology. My point, though, is that I think there's a structural problem with pharma in what it does. And I'll use statins, for instance. It's something I feel very strongly about. But the path is, most functional medicine doctors will tell you it's not about the statin itself. It's about the 5 additional medications that you will be on in order to support the statin. And so my big problem is we are not building platforms in this era to protect the health and wellness of people in favor of profits. Dude, as a capitalist, this is the most conflicting thing in my brain, but like, I can't make money if I'm dead. So it's like, I genuinely want to figure out and understand how we can protect the IP of these companies that are doing all this work in these trials. But at the same time, how do we deliver medication to people in a way that is personalized in an era where AI exists, right? And we're doing the things we're doing with AI. The fact that you're going to tell me that every person requires a similar dosage of weight loss. And by the way, what even qualifies, to your point, as obese anymore? I have a 33 BMI. I can get prescribed anything you want. And by the way, I'm 11% body fat. So all the markers and systems are wrong. So my problem is broader with the healthcare system, with what the pharmaceutical industry stands for at times, not because of profit, but at what expense are they making profit? And then how do we use technology and platforms? Because I look at peptides and I look at what HIMS is doing to an extent as kind of the AI of human evolution. And the AI of human evolution should be about being able to deliver platform-driven, personalized medicine to help every individual live a longer life and be longevity and wellness focused rather than reacting to illnesses, symptoms, and basically staying sick and staying on medication for as long as we live. That should not be.
I don't disagree with any of it. I think there's some structural problems, though, because if you look at the traditional development pathway for drugs, right, you do dose-limiting toxicities. Phase 1, you do a dose escalation study to try and get to the point where you see the upper bound of tolerance, right, and safety and efficacy. And in areas like cancer treatments, you need that, right? And that becomes the standard dosing because it was determined by various cohorts as, hey, we think this is going to be the minimum or optimum effective dosage. So I think here, yes, immediately agree with you. There's personalization. I think, though, it's got to be different for different drug classes, right? So if you look at CAR T therapies, which are personalized cancer treatments where you're taking molecules outside of your body, re-engineering them, for lack of a better scientific term right now, and then reinserting them. It's the epitome of personalized medicine. I think you're arguing the same thing for peptides, that the administration and the dosing should be personalized to the individual. And I agree. If that's the case, then platforms like HIMS should proliferate and do very well. I mean, we showed up the chart earlier that, they're not just doing, weight loss and obesity management. It's sexual, wellness. It's also, some of the stuff I have on the top of my head, and you don't, and they're expanding their platform, to your point, to really be a proactive wellness. They got
TRT. They're democratizing, hormonal health, because so much of our hormones, so much of our wellness is in our hormones and in our gut. And so, how do we bring that to people? And then everybody out here knows, right, that in the end, the healthcare system is so difficult. The fact is maybe how easy it was for you to get that care. But the other end is you maybe should be saying, God, it's amazing how easy it was for me to get that care. This is really special. I'm online, I'm in my home, by the way, it's dropped off at my door. But here's my biggest fear that I want to share with everybody is the GLPs are one thing, and this is really complicated and nuanced, because if Novo and Eli Lilly and others can't make good profits doing this, they'll stop. Yes. And you don't want that to happen. And so I want to be very clear, like that is not a good outcome. Having said that, though, at the same time, is like peptides are short chains of amino acids. A lot of people conflate what these things really are.
Well, people think they're drugs. They don't realize that it's the precursor that stimulates the natural immune response.
It's a signal. So it's a signaling. It's a signaling amino acid short chain. And what it does is it helps it brings vitality and vibrancy in different parts of your life. And there's a reason it's in Hollywood and in the Silicon Valley, and the people are doing this. My fear is that this would be the first step to Pharma Brigade, basically hostile takeover of peptides and turning peptides into something that, again, many of these things have been around a long time. They are not patented and controlled the same way as other pharma IP, but they could take these things on. They could do the same thing they've done with because obviously the glutides, they are peptides. And so as you look at this, we have the opportunity right now to make healthcare for the better. Taking care of your mitochondrial health has implications to cancer. Getting your hormones in balance. It has a lot of implications to your life and your well-being. Like having the opportunity to do this naturally, by the way, without introducing synthetics into your life, to be able to improve your growth hormone, to be able to improve your mitochondrial health, to be able to improve your testosterone, by the way, without actually synthetically introducing. And by the way, doing it at an affordable rate for less than $1,000 a month, you can have a peptide stack that basically takes care of every part of your wellness, cognitive, mental.
I think you're putting your fingers on the key issues. One is these are so affordable to manufacture, right? So the margins on these are astronomical, which is what Eli Lilly and Novo Nordisk want to protect. By the same token is the scientific research keeps coming out, the downstream health benefits, right? Well, this was a diabetes drug. Now it leads to weight loss. They're showing it improves liver and kidney function. It may have impacts on neurodegenerative diseases. It may have impacts on addiction, both food and substance. I mean, the list keeps going on and on. So I think that's why this battle is so vehement, right? And this is what you're putting your finger on, is that hey, if we scale this personalized medicine, a really cheap thing, it brings the cost down, then Eli Lilly, Novo Nordisk, the Pharma Brigade, as you call them, is out of business, right? Because they see this.
This is what the war is being fought on this front, is if people can get healthy for less, they might just do it. And by the way, if they can get healthy for less and it's accessible, they're definitely going to do it. And of course, right now, this is something that's largely only available to the most wealthy people, especially the more advanced peptide therapies. People don't know where to get it. The average doctor is not looking into it or prescribing it. They're giving you blood pressure meds and statins.
Well, and there's a lot of fake shit out there too. I mean, as you know.
Oh, but that's the other side of it, is when you don't make things available, it's the same thing. Like, you don't make any drug available, whether it's recreational or pharmaceutical. People will find it in other ways, and there will be a dirtying of the system. You get Chinese peptides that God only knows what these people are taking for research and injecting in themselves. But if we democratize it and make it available and figure out a way to inspire the pharma industry to continue to develop and innovate, while at the same time democratizing health. And by the way, we don't have nationalized healthcare here. We don't have a path to that. We don't have a path to making healthcare more affordable. As the CEO of a company, I have employees constantly stressed out about what it costs for very mediocre healthcare here in the United States. I'm saying that the things that you could do to actually bring wellness, longevity, to take care of yourself in advance of illness are not widely available or prescribed. We do not focus enough on that. This is a chance, as an inflection with peptides, to actually change the course of history and bring better health to everybody proactively and affordably.
Yeah, listen, amen to that. So no surprise, we don't have much of a debate here. I think we agree on a lot of it. I would say this, though. I think Novo Nordisk absolutely has to acquire Viking Therapeutics, or they're going to get left in the dust in this world. I mean, it's just Eli Lilly's tirzepatide is a superior molecule to semaglutide. Viking has the even more superior, it seems like. I do want to let you give a final thought on HIMS, HERS, Novo, but I know you got a hard stop in 4 minutes. I also want to get your thoughts on AI, dude, because
we get a final thought and then we can talk AI. And by the way, sorry to anyone out there that wanted us to really scream and yell at each other. I think the real fundamental here was, you're right about IP. And so where they cross the line on IP, I don't disagree. It's just beyond that pill, everything else they're doing is personalized. And so they're protected so far. There has not been a ruling so far.
Which is why they backed off on the pill right away.
And I think they went over their skis, which Andrew does this. I mean, he just doesn't seem to have the ability to resist himself, which is why he's a scary investment. Like, if you have a low risk appetite, I do not recommend it. But I'm saying this is a stock with a ton of volatility. It could be one catalyst away from seeing a run back to 40 or $50. So there is a chance that there's significant upside because there's not really another accessible kind of personalized wellness platform at scale that's available in the public markets right now. So, it's just something that, if you're a high risk person, if you invest in crypto and other things, this might be something to look at. I'll take my chance here.
Yeah, fully disclaimed. So on AI, you had one quote that I think is key that will let you be the launch point to you to share your wisdom here, because you are the de facto and definitive expert here among this. And you said this: AI can't be eating everything and every industry and be a bubble at the same time. It's a revolution. I agree with you, but explain what you mean here.
Basically, for 6 months, we had this bubble babble that went on. I went on TV, with you and others more than 50 times. Remember my quote, if you think it's a bubble, short it. I think I said that when you and I were on TV together. But like the demand is insatiable. And the reason that you have 650 billion in CapEx is because every one of these CEOs knows that if they do not, it's an existential risk to their business not to be invested enough in AI. And at the same time, people are screaming out, it's a bubble. There's no use. There's no utility. And then you've got Claude Bot, and you've got Claude Work, and you've got Codex 5.3, and you've got every software company is going to be replaced by AI, and you've got and so like the FUD stories, it's like it can't be both things. It can't be AI is so good it's going to disrupt and replace every industry in the next 18 months, but also AI is a bubble. It doesn't mean there aren't shitcos that have that have gotten undeserved valuations by attaching themselves to AI. But the TLDR is like an NVIDIA, a Microsoft, a Meta, a Google. They're not overspending. If anything, they are under communicating the risks of not getting this right. And so the risk of not getting this right is much, much bigger than anything. So they're saying
even if we can't get the messaging right, we're going to get the spending right because the risk is too high to wait for investors to figure out why we're doing what we're doing. We need to. It's a business necessity versus a market positioning.
It's literally an extinction risk. This is inflecting so quickly that if these companies do not have, and most of it comes down to having compute capacity, Lou. So like if they don't have the compute to actually activate the potential of AI, meaning this is why Sam, love him or hate him, I think he's diabolical, but I think he's really smart, wanted to start his own foundry and fab network and wanted to, buy $7 trillion worth of chips or whatever his number was because he knows that as long as he has infinite compute, he can move as fast as AI. But in every time there's a new breakthrough, if you don't have the compute, if Meta can't continue to scale its platform, if Microsoft can't continue to innovate on its platforms because it doesn't have enough capacity, it will be in trouble. This is why people think Apple could be at risk. Apple fortunately has the platform of the phone, but if the platform ever changes, Apple hasn't made that investment. And by the way, Amazon has been punished for years now in this AI boom because Amazon was seen as having underspent on CapEx during the beginning of the boom. They spent about the same as Google and Microsoft and then actually ceded top position as sort of the AI cloud because they basically didn't spend as much in the beginning. So like when Oracle is being called like, hey, it's existential, Oracle is going to go out of business. If Oracle doesn't do this, they're probably more likely to go out of business, especially if you actually believe that AI is going to eat software, which I think is, again, more hyperbole than truth. But I think AI will eat some software, and I think AI will certainly re-rate software in perpetuity because
I
of
think
what you
that's
can
the
do.
key, right? It's because software as a service, that business model has always been valued on a price to sales ratio, right? Because it was grow at any cost and grow rapidly and worry about dropping the bottom line. And I just think you're seeing a re-rating here. Like we have to figure out what's the new way to value these companies. What's their growth going to look like? How much is the reliance on AI going to be? And I mean, it's stupid to think that all these companies that have succeeded massively are going to just go lay down and give up because AI arrived on the scene, right? Like they're going to stop innovating.
My read is AI will be a collaborator. It will cause a re-rating. They will not have enjoy the same multiple premiums they once did. But welcome to the party. Every industry goes through that at some point when they no longer have the same moat. I mean, NVIDIA trades at 25 times forward. Some of these companies are trading at 50, 100 times free cash flow. I mean, they were just incredible multiples on some of these SaaS companies. And now they may not have the same level of importance, but enterprises move extremely slow, and it'll take a while, even in the AI era, to see any software being fully ripped out. And what I believe more likely happens is AI and AI like tools like Anthropic and OpenAI become semantic layers that sit on top of these softwares, because most of these companies are not going to expose their most important proprietary data to any of these companies, because that proprietary data is really their only moat left. So the fact is, SAP and Oracle and ServiceNow and Salesforce, they all have a ton of proprietary data. And that proprietary data is not going to move quickly from those platforms to these new platforms.
Well, listen, I'm going to be your nagging wife that tell you you're 2 minutes past your time, man. I'm kicking you out because I don't want to be in trouble, my friend. I always appreciate this. I think next time we get together, we got to do it in the gym. We'll film it from the gym while you kick my ass in a bench press and flex your bigger biceps than mine. But we'll advocate the advantages of peptides and your new business as well. I appreciate your insights as always, my friend.
Good to be with you. It was fun.
All right, brother. Have a good weekend, long weekend, and see you back in the trenches next week. All right, folks.